So on Top Rank latest episode, Shakur Stevenson gave Abdullah Mason $1 million advice immediately after his fight where he got dropped not once, but twice for the first time in his career. Here is exactly what Shakur Stevenson told Abdullah Mason. Check it out.
Everybody.
Fight, bro.
So do it. Where the paper at?
I want to tell you something that's going to take you from where you at to elite. Every fighter in the first round is dangerous.
Yes.
Every fighter.
Yes.
So with your skills and everything that you got, bro, you could keep guys outside for the first, because you can fight outside and inside. You can fight both ranges. But for them first 3 rounds, you still want to be defensively aware and keep guys outside. And then fourth, okay, he wear it down a little bit. Now we're going to step to him and take him out of there. Because you're going to take everybody out of there with your skills, bro.
No, for
but
sure.
just understand, early on, everybody is dangerous. So you don't want to go out there just exchanging and giving up your height. Keeping guy at bay, and then set 3, 4, 5, okay, you slow down, now I'm about to beat your ass.
No, for sure.
Got me, you a hell of a fighter, bro. You're going to be one of the greats, bro. I promise you. Just make sure the IQ is there with the skills, bro.
Absolutely.
Got me?
Shakur couldn't have given Abdullah Mason a better advice. You see, the mistake Abdullah Mason made really wasn't technical. In boxing, if you box, you're going to get hit, just like if you swim, you're going to get wet. However, you have to be calculated in the ring. You have to make smart decisions. You have to approach the fight accordingly, which that's the point Shakur was making to Abdullah Mason. You see, it ain't like Abdullah Mason dropped his hand and got caught. No, that's not the case. Abdullah Mason, in fact, had his hand in position to block the punch in case his opponent threw a punch. But he still got caught anyways due to how his opponent placed the punch. You see, the punches in the sport of boxing that hurt the most are the punches that you don't see coming. Those are the ones that take fighters' legs away. For Abdullah Mason's case, he wasn't really that hurt. It was really flash knockdowns because he didn't see the shot coming, plus he was fighting a puncher. I hear a lot of people say, oh, Abdullah Mason got exposed, he's not the one. When in fact, he actually proved something. He proved a lot of things, that he can take a punch, that he has a heart of a warrior. He got back up and got it back in blood by knocking his opponent out the round immediately after that. So you guys may have saw flaws, but I saw character in a man. I saw a young fighter who got tested and passed the test with flying colors. That's what I saw in Abdullah Mason. Now, I'm not saying Abdullah Mason doesn't need to improve or fix anything. Just like Shakur Stevenson pointed out, Abdullah Mason has to fix his approach to the game. When he goes inside of that ring, if he's short like Mike Tyson and he's fighting a tall fighter, then yeah, go in the pocket in the early rounds because you don't want to fight the tall fighter from the outside. But when Abdullah Mason himself has long reach, when he's a boxer first, when he has a lot of power, when he has a great jab, then why would you take that gamble? Especially when Abdullah Mason is the taller fighter. That's the same mistake or the same mistakes Jaron Ennis be making. Jaron Ennis made the same mistake his last fight. If you guys watched the fight, Jaron Ennis abandoned his jab. He was not using it. And at that point, if you feint with the jab, of course your opponent is not going to take the bait because you're not using your jab. Even if you feint, he's going to see that's a fake a mile away. I mean, Jaron Ennis had like 7-inch reach on Karen, and he gave all that up to go straight to the inside and fight in the inside majority of the night. Now, I'm not saying Jaron Ennis and Abdullah Mason shouldn't fight in the pocket. That's not what I'm saying. The point I've been making is the same point Shakur just made, which is don't gamble early on, especially when you are the athlete who has the advantages with the reach and the height, so on and so forth. If you want to show that you can fight in the pocket or you can beat your opponent in the inside by beating him at his own game in the inside, you got to do that with the right opponent, first of all. Second of all, you can still do that. However, break your opponent down first. Study him first, especially early on. When you are cold and he's cold, when you haven't figured out the timing, when you're still trying to figure out your opponent and where the punches are coming from. It's all about timing. Fighting in the pocket is all about timing. You gotta fight your opponent at your own time in the pocket when you are ready and he's not ready. Like Sean Porter said, when my opponent is uncomfortable, I'm comfortable. However, when he's comfortable, I'm uncomfortable. Likewise, when you fight him in the pocket, fight him in the pocket when he's not ready. This is chess, not checkers. You don't go straight for the king before you kill the soldiers and everyone in between that is in front of the king, right? Because at that point, you will be committing suicide, which a lot of these talented fighters like Jaron Ennis and Abdullah Mason be falling for that trap. For example, if Jaron Ennis ended up utilizing his jab and reach against Karen, he probably would have had to ended up stopping him anyways. More importantly, he would have had to ended up getting hit way less. See, the criticism is not on Jaron Ennis not knocking out Karen. Who cares about that? Not every opponent meant to be KO'd. You can't knock out every opponent. Even the hardest punchers of all time didn't knock out all of their opponents. The criticism here for Jaron Ennis is that he was getting hit clean too much with punches. If it was from a puncher, it could have been lights out. Jaron showed he has a great chin, but he also showed that he fights with heart instead of his brain. Abdullah Mason, on the other hand, if he would have had came out boxing, utilizing his jab, controlling the range until he figured out what time it is, where the punches are coming from exactly, we all can agree Abdullah Mason would have had ended up stopping his opponent anyways. Either Abdullah Mason would have had knocked his opponent out by boxing him in the early rounds, or he would have had taken his opponent out in the middle rounds in the pocket once he turned on the pressure. Either way, he would have had gotten the KO, but the major difference, even though probably the fight would have had went longer, Abdullah Mason wouldn't have gotten dropped twice though, which matters the most. Me personally, which I think I speak for majority of the boxing fans when I say this, I like to watch Abdullah Mason for 2 rounds, 5 rounds, 8 rounds, or 12. It doesn't matter. He's an exciting fighter anyways. So take your time, young king, is what Shakur Stevenson was telling Abdullah Mason. I personally prefer to watch a fight that goes some distance, then I see a KO, then an early KO. I want to see a fight that lasts longer than a street fight. Of course, you have the fans that want to see an early KO, aka Mike Tyson vibe. However, you have other fans that don't want to see an early KO, especially if they paid pay-per-view money. They rather see a middle round KO or a late round KO to get their money worth. That's beside the point though. Fighters don't get paid for overtime. However, what should matter the most to a fighter is getting the KO without paying for it. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about paying for it with a knockdown or getting hit too much. Even if Jaron Ennis knocked out Karen, that performance would have had been questionable due to how much Jaron Ennis got hit. It's not about getting the KO. It's more about not taking too much punishment. The name of the game is hit and don't get hit. That's the name of boxing. That being said, go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe below. And to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, Akhi, TV. Peace. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.